Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video I'll show you the 6 questions you need to ask before buying a used car. So if you're in the market for a used car, make sure you ask these 6 questions to the seller to make sure you get the best deal. So there's lots of scams out there. You don't want to get burnt on a used car that you buy and it turns out to be a lemon. Some people are trying to get rid of a car and some people are trying to get rid of a problem. So you want to make sure you're on the good end of it. So the first question you need to ask the seller is, how often was the oil changed? So the right answers are going to be 6,000 kilometers for conventional oil change and 8,000 kilometers for synthetic. The wrong answers are going to be 10,000 kilometers, 15,000 kilometers, or I don't know. Oil change is the most important preventive maintenance you could do on any car. So if the seller slacked on just doing the oil changes, imagine what else he slacked on. The oil changes are the most basic maintenance you could do on a car. A lack of oil changes or intervals that are too wide between oil changes will cause a major engine failure down the road, and we don't want to get stuck paying that bill when that time comes, if ever the engine goes out. Some cars are really sensitive to oil changes, like Kias and Hyundai. If you even miss one oil change, your engine could be scrapped. Another reason why you want the seller to have changed the oil, it's normal that some cars burn a bit of oil between every oil change. And also, if the car is leaking oil and burning oil, then the engine is going to run low on oil for a certain amount of time, and we don't want that. It's going to eat up the cams, the bearings, and so on. And we don't want premature engine failure. The second question you want to ask the seller is, when was the last time that battery has been replaced? The right answers are last month, last year, or 2 years ago. Wrong answers are going to be 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or I don't know. All right, so battery lifespan is going to be around 4 years on the low end and 7 years on the high end. So you don't want to be caught in the middle with that bill, because a battery could run you at $150 for a regular flooded one. And if it's a AGM battery, that could run you up to $250, $300, or even $400 depending on the car. So the answers you want to hear are going to be within 2 years, because that's going to save you the most money. All right, the third question you want to ask the seller is, when were the brakes last replaced? All right, the right answers are going to be a few months ago, last year, or 2 years ago. Your wrong answers are going to be 4 years ago, 5 years ago, or I don't know. All right, so if the seller is doing mainly city driving, then brakes are going to last about 2 to 3 years if it's intensive city driving. If he's doing a lot of highway driving, brakes could last up to 5 years. You want to make sure you replace them pretty recently. We don't want to get stuck with the bill of replacing brakes. So front brakes are going to run you about $600 at the garage for parts and labor. And if you're doing brakes all around, it could run you from $700 all the way up to $1,400, depending on the make and model and the quality of the parts that you're getting. If you're doing your own work at home, then that cost will be cut in half or even more. All right, so make sure that the seller tells you the condition of the brakes and when were they replaced, because you don't want to get stuck with that bill. All right, so if you're enjoying this video and if you're getting a lot of value out of it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like these. Fourth question you want to ask the seller is pretty important. Is the AC working? So right answers are going to be yes. Wrong answers, of course, no. So the tricky thing about the AC systems that are not working, the minimum bill is going to be around $100, because shops and dealerships have a really expensive machine to work on the AC system. Before working on any AC system, they have to extract all the old refrigerant and then diagnose the problem if there's a leak. So an AC system that's not working, the leaks could be anywhere from just simple O-rings to the suction line, the discharge line, the condenser, and the worst case scenario is going to be a leaking evaporator core. The evaporator core is located inside the dashboard, and on most cars it takes from 8 hours all the way up to 16 hours to replace that component. So to get your AC fixed, best case scenario is going to be you're going to be paying $100 to just replace some O-rings, and worst case scenario you could be paying up to $2,000 to replace the evaporator core. So that's why you want to make sure that the seller is selling you the car with a working AC, because you don't want to get stuck with that bill. All right, so you want to make sure that the AC is working on the potential car that you're going to buy, especially if it's a newer car. Newer cars have the new refrigerant that's in it, which is the 1234YF. It's a lot more expensive than the R134A. It could cost up to 10 times more expensive, and they're also longer to work on when extracting the refrigerant from the car. The machines are also more expensive for the garage and dealerships, and all that cost is going to be passed down to you, the customer. All right, so the fifth question you want to ask the seller is, has the transmission ever been serviced? So what I mean by that is, servicing a transmission consists of changing the fluid, or having a flush done, or having any fluid leaks repaired and addressed correctly. So right answers are going to be every 50,000 kilometers, 80,000 kilometers, or 100,000 kilometers. Wrong answers are going to be never or I don't know. So a lot of people neglect doing their basic oil changes. Imagine the neglection when it comes to transmission fluid. So a lot of manufacturers recommend to change it at 100,000 kilometers, which is the limit. And some manufacturers actually recommend never to change it at all. They say it's a lifetime fluid, but that's cap. You want to make sure that the seller was on time servicing the transmission and also addressing any leak that was there. A lot of people will have leaking transmission fluid either around the seals or the oil pan and never address it. So the whole time they're driving, the transmission is running low on fluid. And then when you go to buy that car, then you'll have a transmission that's almost on its way out. So you don't want to be stuck with that bill. Either a transmission overhaul, which could cost you up to $3,000, or a complete transmission replacement, which could cost you from $3,000 all the way up to $7,000 depending on the car make and model. And especially if you're in the market for a Nissan with a CVT transmission, these are really sensitive to transmission oil changes. You need to ask the seller if he got it serviced more frequently, and also if he replaced both filters, the one in the pan and the cartridge filter that's outside. CVT transmission on the Nissan have a really high failure rate, so you don't want to be stuck paying that bill if you ever buy a car that never got their transmission serviced. All right, so the last question you want to ask the seller, this is an optional question. It applies to people who live in colder climates. Question is, does it come with winter tires, preferably on rims? So the right answer is yes. Wrong answers are going to be no. So where I live, which is in Quebec, it's mandatory to have winter tires installed on your car during the winter months. You want to make sure that the potential car that you're going to buy comes with winter tires, preferably on rims, because that's going to be easier for the installation. You also want to ask the seller the condition of the winter tires and the summer tires that you are going to purchase. Any tires above 7/32 in measurement is a good tire. It's going to last you many more seasons. Tires that are 6/32 and below, then you're probably going to get only 2 more seasons out of them, because anything below 4/32 it becomes dangerous and illegal to drive on, and you don't want to be stuck with that bill when it comes time to replacing your tires. So replacing your set of winter tires and summer tires are going to cost you $500 each, which is a total of $1,000. That's only for 16-inch rims. Now add on $200 the higher up you go in the size of the tire. So 17, 18, and 19 inches are going to be way more expensive. And then if you're talking 20 inches, then good luck. So all 6 of these questions are questions you need to ask before you go ahead and look at the car in person. It's going to give you an idea on the condition of the car. If you're dealing with either a scammer, a crackhead, you never know. Some of these questions have already been answered on the seller's ad, so don't annoy him by asking the same question. Just read the damn ad. So at 1 or 2 wrong answers from all the questions I gave you, it doesn't mean it's a bad car. It's gonna depend on you as the buyer, how much you want to tolerate and how much flexibility you have when it comes to future repairs or immediate repair that you are comfortable with doing when purchasing the car. So at 3 wrong answers, I personally suggest to look for another car. If he neglected most of these basic questions, then there's probably a lot of other stuff that he neglected when it comes down to suspension issues or even engine performance issues. All right, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys took a lot of value out of it. So make sure you like and comment if you have any comments or questions, and make sure you subscribe for more videos like these. Peace.